Hey, 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 everybody. It's Dr. Amy Myers. Happy Tuesday. So it is icky and cold here in Austin. Love to know where you're from and what's going on in your world. So just so you know, I'm going to be doing Facebook Lives every Tuesday, unless, of course, something comes up and I'll let you know about it. But it's like a TV show. You can just plug in and be here every Tuesday at 3. If you're wondering why I have on all this makeup, I'm going to be talking about that in just a minute. And one lucky winner will be able to enter to win the Smoky Eye Trio, which I have on right now. Now, you definitely don't want to use me as an example because I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to makeup. You have no idea how long it took me to sort of get this because I never really wear makeup. But hopefully somebody can look even better than I do with this Smoky Trio from Beauty Counter, which is a non-toxic beauty company. So we'll be talking about that in just a minute. Let me just pull up here real quick and see who all we got and where we got them from. So give me just 1 second. I got to toggle between a lot of different things here. Let's see. Hi, Tina. How are you from Australia? All right. I'm sorry that you have Graves' disease. Hopefully you've read my book, The Thyroid Connection. I'll be in Australia in Melbourne in April. Mocha has just barged her way into my office to tell me hello. Maybe Nana can come get Mocha. Hi, Andrea from Sweden. Hello, Marcia from Iowa. And let's see, Maria from Cincinnati. Hi, Deb from Allen, Texas. Angie from Ohio. Glenda from Texas. Hi, Misty. You're always here. So happy to see you here. Hi, Lisa from Melbourne. I'll be there soon. Let me know all the great things to do in Melbourne. Hi, Victoria. How are you? And Erica from Indiana. All right, everybody. So like I said, I'm going to be doing this from, we have somebody from Margaret from Austria, and Heather from North Carolina. So I will be here every Tuesday at 3 o'clock, unless something, unusual where I have to be traveling and there's nothing else that I can do about it. And I can't be here. My team will let you know ahead of time, but I will be here every Tuesday at 3 Central Standard Time. We have people from Mexico. We have people from Greece, Brandon, Mississippi, Judy, Rochester, New York. Wow, this is amazing. I have goosebumps. We have people from literally all over the states and all over the world. So this is super, super exciting. So for those of you who don't know me and you maybe are new to me, I am Dr. Amy Myers. I'm the New York Times bestselling author of The Autoimmune Solution and the Thyroid Connection. They're right behind me. Been translated in many, many languages. And I have a new cookbook, the Autoimmune Solution Cookbook, that will be coming out May 8th, 2018, which is this year. And you can pre-order that now on Amazon. Of course, we'll be having a lot more fanfare as it gets closer to the time all about that, but it is available pre-order now. Dana, my nutritionist, and I have been working super hard on this. We have over 150 amazing autoimmune friendly recipes. It's an incredible, incredible cookbook. And I'm not just saying that because I wrote it, but it really is. The recipes are absolutely delicious. I'm also the founder and medical director of Austin Ultra Health. So again, I'll be meeting every Tuesday right here on Facebook Live, Central Standard Time at 3. Plus, we'll be doing exciting giveaways every single week. It will be different. Sometimes it will be our own products. Sometimes it will be products of others. As I've already mentioned, the reason I have on so much makeup right now is we'll be giving away this Smoky Eye Trio at the end of this. And I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to enter to win. In fact, let's see, maybe my team can put it at the top because I'm not seeing what people need to do to enter to win. I know they sent me an email, but I'm not seeing it on my little cheat sheet here. So if somebody could put it in my cheat sheet, what somebody needs to do to enter to win, that would be super duper awesome. So don't forget to share this with your family and friends. Today, we're going to be talking about estrogen dominance. So if you're not on my newsletter list, head on over to my website and you can join my newsletter. I send out an article every single week about, something interesting and new. So for the giveaway, what you'll need to do to enter to win is to tag 2 friends down in the feed right here. And we will be choosing a winner between now and Wednesday, February 7th at 4 p.m. So make sure you're tagging 2 friends, and the winner will be announced on Facebook on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, so tag 2 friends. Let's see what everybody's doing. Sorry, I'm toggling between a bunch of different things. Let me see. Where did my, oh my goodness. Okay. Hi, Susie from Down Under. Hi, Michelle. Judy wants to know if my cookbook will help psoriasis. Absolutely, it will. And if you haven't followed my plan in the autoimmune solution, that will as well. But all the recipes are autoimmune solution compliant, which is why it's called the Autoimmune Solution Cookbook. It's also a companion to the Thyroid Connection as well. So don't forget to tag 2 friends and enter a chance to win the Smoky Eye Trio from Beauty Counter, which is a non-toxic beauty company. So they've banned all kinds of chemicals like parabens, phthalates, and literally thousands of more that are not banned in other countries, but or are banned in other countries, but are still allowed in the United States. They've banned them. So what's included in this? It's a $78 value. It's a liquid eyeliner, a mascara, and a cream eyeshadow. And this is what you'll look like, or hopefully even better than what I look like. Okay, so we're going to get started. And today we're going to be talking about estrogen dominance and what you need to do about it. Signs and symptoms of estrogen dominance, why we're having so much estrogen dominance in the world today, and my go-to what you can do about it. And I'm going to go ahead and, jump the gun and tell you that we're going to be talking about something called Estro Protect, which is a supplement that I take every day to help clear estrogens from my system. Okay, but so we are literally at an all-time high with breast cancer, uterine cancer, prostate cancer, PCOS, infertility problems, and frankly, what's called estrogen dominance. So why are we here? Well, we are being bombarded. Our world is now filled with industrial chemicals that look exactly like estrogen to our very own body. And those are called xenoestrogens. So they're in our water, they're in our food by way of, hormones that are getting pumped into chickens and meat. They're in our water because we dump medications down the sink and down the toilet and they end up in our water. They're coming from pesticides that run off and into our water. They're coming from industrial chemicals. We're making plastics and they run into the water from the company that's making the plastics. Of course, they're in plastics that we're using, or I hope that you're not using. They're even in things like your receipt when you go to get a receipt, even at a healthy food restaurant or a grocery store like Whole Foods. They're in our beauty products. They're way in our beauty products, which is why I've partnered with Beauty Counter for this giveaway and why I personally use Beauty Counter. And why I've become a Beauty Counter consultant. I'm very open. I certainly get a commission if you buy something from Beauty Counter. And if you're interested in doing that, you can go to beautycounter.com/Amy Myers and take a look around at all the interesting, gorgeous makeups. That's what I have on right now is Beauty Counter makeup. So I've switched over to them and started using them. And they're even in our rugs and the furniture. They're literally everywhere. So we as a society are getting bombarded. And first of all, let me say, I'm not saying all this stuff to scare you, right? I never want to give you scare tactics and things like that. I want to educate you. I want to empower you. It's why I'm here, to empower you to take back your health. And so in order to empower you, I need to give you a little bit of background, and then I'm going to give you a solution, okay? And ways that you can counteract this. So that's really, why I'm here today is to really do that, okay? So signs and symptoms of estrogen dominance. You probably might already know. You've had a diagnosis of autoimmunity. You've had a diagnosis of thyroid disease, can certainly be linked to estrogen dominance. Any type of hormonal cancer, breast, uterine, ovarian, prostate, it means that likely your estrogens were high. And then it's things like PCOS. It's things like infertility. And then even more subtle things like weight gain, particularly around your middle and your hips, mood swings, anxiety, having heavy painful periods, having PMS. These can all be signs of estrogen dominance. And this affects not only men and women. So ladies out there, tag a man that you love. He might be thinking that we're here talking about makeups, or we're just talking about things that, so ladies out there just relate to men, to women, but it's not true. So go ahead and tag a man that you're concerned about. a man that maybe is a little overweight, a man that has a belly. Our estrogens are stored in fat, and men make estrogens as well. In fact, we had an article go out today, and there's a graphic in there that shows kind of, and I should have gotten a copy of it to be able to hold it up and show you guys. But when we have our hormones, I mean, we all need these hormones. We need cholesterol in order to make our hormones. So the idea of like, you know, high cholesterol is bad. There's never just, nothing's black or white generally. There's a huge gray area. So we need our cholesterol to make our hormones. And then we sort of make our progesterone that then comes over and we have DHEA up here, which is one of our main hormones. And then it filters down. DHEA typically goes into testosterone, and then, or it can go straight into estrogen. So the progesterone can come over and go into estrogen. DHEA can go into estrogen, and then testosterone can go into estrogen. In fact, it's how we clear our hormones. Everything ultimately filters into estrogen in order for us to get it out of our system. And then what happens once it's in estrogen, we know that there's several different types of estrogen, estradiol being the strongest, estrone, estriol being weaker ones. But more importantly, there are these metabolites of the estrogens. There's something called the 2-OH and the 4-OH and the 16 estrogens. And I'm simplifying this for you. You can go, you know, read the article, but I'm really simplifying this for you here. And it's really these metabolites of the estrogens that we care about. Now, certainly certain people can be predisposed to certain types of cancers based on, you know, everybody's heard of the BRCA genes. There are other genetic SNPs that we're starting to learn about that can be involved in estrogen metabolism. One is called COMT. Y'all have heard me talk about MTHFR. I have 2 copies. I have 1 copy at COMT. So that's important. And if you haven't already, I would highly suggest that you do a 23andMe and find out what your, you know, detoxification pathways are. We're really, a lot of people are trying to simplify those detox pathways and say, if you have this, it means that. It's far more complicated than that. It's definitely that all of these things interact together. You might have poor detox this way, but really great this way. And so the two counterbalance each other, and maybe your net is actually a good thing. Maybe the net is a bad thing. So, but COMT is one of the enzymes that helps us clear those estrogens, and it also has a methylation component to it. I don't want to get too scientific here, but the idea that we all get taught your risk for cancer, particularly as a woman, is based on your total estrogens is false, folks. It's not true. For some people, it might be partly true based on, say, BRCA genes, but for the rest of us, it's not true. It's far more complicated than that. What I like to tell a woman when she comes into my office and she's in menopause or she's going through menopause and she's having a lot of symptoms and she tells me, I don't want to go on hormones, I'm afraid of cancer. What I like to say is, you could be a woman or man, but you could be a woman who is in menopause, has very, very low estrogens. And so you're thinking you're at low risk for cancer. But out of those little bit of hormones that you have, you could be breaking them all down into the really bad estrogen metabolites. And you frankly could be a sitting duck. Again, I'm not trying to say this stuff to scare you. I'm going to give you some things that you can do. You can take away, stick till the end. I'm going to give you some things that you can do to help clear these estrogens, prevent these estrogens from coming in. Or you could be a woman who has really high estrogens. You could be overweight. You could, again, our estrogens are stored in fat and they act as a hormone still in that fat. That's why heavier weight women have an easier time going through menopause than thinner women, because they have more estrogen stored in their body. So it still is acting in the fat. Hey, Grant from San Antonio and Dick from London. How are you guys? Glad that we have Dick. Hopefully you're a man, and we have a man here. We have mostly, I'm seeing women, but I'm glad there are a few men here. So so you could be a woman who's going or not in menopause, and you have estrogen dominance, and you're overweight, and you're just a walking estrogen ball, frankly. But because your pathways work well, you convert all your estrogen into the really good, non-toxic, non-cancer causing estrogens. So you're not a sitting duck. So you can see how it's really not about your total estrogens. It's about your metabolites and what you do with these estrogens. So I kind of digressed a little bit, but I think it's really important for people to understand that. So don't forget to like and share this. Tag 2 people if you're interested in winning the beauty counter trio that we have here, and the winner will be announced tomorrow. You have until 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on the 7th to tag 2 people to watch this video and learn about estrogen dominance. So let's back up. Where is estrogen made? Well, naturally it's made in our adrenal glands. In women, it's also made in our ovaries. In men, it's made in the testes, and then it's stored in fat. It's again one of those reasons why men have low T, and then they get put on a bunch of testosterone, and all they do is gain weight or get man boobs, because all that testosterone is then getting converted in the fat into estrogen. So if that's happening to you, man, you might want to get off that testosterone, figure out the problem of why you have low T, and follow some of the strategies that I've got for you here today to help you clear those estrogens. Of course, estrogen plays a huge role in childbearing, keeps our cholesterol in check. For a lot of people, it's bone protective. You know, a lot of women don't want to go on hormones, but they really need it to protect their bones, right? So signs of estrogen dominance, or that things are out of balance in a woman, can again be weight gain at the hips, the waist, the thighs, menstrual problems, irregular periods, light or heavy bleeding, PMS, fibrocystic breast, uterine fibroids, fatigue, loss of sex drive, anxiety, depression. So if you're raising your hand, in fact, raise your hand if there's a woman out there having any of these. I saw somebody saying endometriosis, and that too is one, right? I mean, endometriosis is, well, it is an inflammatory condition. Some say there might be an autoimmune component to it, but it's definitely overstimulation of estrogen, and then the endometriosis is making more estrogen. So likely if you have that, you're in an estrogen dominant situation as well. In men, it can be infertility as well, sexual dysfunction, enlarged breast, and I would say even those people who have that sort of beer belly, the pear-shaped people that hold everything, you know, right there, or I guess the pear-shaped, or that is down, the apple-shaped people with the beer belly, and that, you know, have the skinny legs and the big belly, likely you have problems metabolizing your estrogen as well if you're a man. So I mentioned already about, you know, it's not about the total estrogens. We have something called the 2-hydroxy pathway, and then one called the 16 and the 4-hydroxy pathway. And the 2 is considered good, and the 16 and the 4 are considered bad, with the 4 being worse. And so, you know, many of the women, myself included, I've done the testing on myself to see, you know, this is not a conventional test that you can get. You definitely need to get some functional medicine testing to see how you metabolize your estrogens. And I recommend every woman do it. I mean, certainly if you have any history of uterine, prostate, breast cancer in the family, certainly 1 degree relative away, I would highly recommend you do that. But I believe everybody should do it, particularly women out there should do this. And certainly if you're going into menopause before you get on hormones, even bioidentical ones, you'd want to know this. Let me see what we got going on here. Looks like lots of people are tagging. Carol says, yes, endometriosis. Judy raised her hand. Mary says she's not sleeping, depression, and has Candida. Hope you're in our Candida challenge, Mary. Hi, Wendy. How's it going? I got lots of people raising their hands here that yes. Danielle, correct. Hey, Danielle, is asking about hair loss. That too can be as a side effect of estrogen dominance. I usually don't think of that as a 1-to-1 estrogen dominance hair loss. I think of that as more the higher your estrogens, the more you bind your thyroid hormone, and low thyroid hormone can lead to hair loss. So certainly that can be as well. RM Alexander saying can't sleep at all. And looks like Res Marie is saying hair loss as well, and Hashimoto's. Okay, so it looks like you guys are all in the right place here in terms of, you know, needing this information. So, you know, having estrogen dominance can just be a hassle, right? I mean, if you got mood swings, you don't have any sex drive, you're gaining weight, that's kind of a hassle. But did you know that it actually can put you at risk potentially for cancers, for autoimmunity, for thyroid dysfunction, even for Candida? So you'll want to deal with this issue if it's a problem for you. You know, breast cancer is at an all-time high, with 1 in 8 women getting breast cancer in their lifetime. Likely everybody watching here knows at least one person who's been diagnosed with breast cancer. In fact, my writer, Rachel Krantz, who helped me write both the Autoimmune Solution and the Thyroid Connection, got breast cancer when we were writing the first book, and ovarian cancer after the second book, and was going through chemo. And I literally got a call one day that she was in the ICU and passed away. I have goosebumps. It's very, you know, that's how fragile life can be. I had no idea that things had turned so south so quickly. So it definitely was, you know, a very difficult time, clearly, for her and her family, and for us over here at AMMD, because we loved Rachel dearly. Certainly uterine cancer, prostate, and ovarian can be associated with high estrogens as well. Autoimmunity, you know, we know that women are far more likely than men to get autoimmunity, and we believe estrogen is playing a role. Now, there's certain autoimmune conditions that are actually protected by estrogens. You know, any of you out there who have some of these, I find people with, you know, lupus sometimes get worse when they're pregnant. People with rheumatoid arthritis or MS or Crohn's can get better. Those seem to be ones that estrogens, or certain estrogens, tend to be protective for autoimmunity. There's some studies going on right now with very, very high dosages of estrogens for people with MS, and they're having very, very good results with those. So estrogens can be protective to some autoimmune conditions, and they can be very aggravating to others. But it seems to be these shifts in the hormones, the high estrogens to the low estrogens, that creates more problems regarding autoimmunity, and why it tends to be more likely in women than men. When it comes to thyroid dysfunction, we have the more estrogen you have, I already said this earlier, the more likely that you're going to bind up your thyroid binding globulin hormone, which then does what it says. It binds more thyroid hormone, which then makes it have less of your free hormone to be floating around in your system, going into the receptors. Also, when your estrogens are high, your thyroid hormone is not converted into T3 very well. It stops that conversion and can get converted more into the reverse T3. So then Candida, we don't know fully the connection here. However, we do know that high estrogen, or Candida, seems to feed off of estrogen. So people in high estrogen states can have a tendency to have Candida. So let's see. Just wanted to check in with everybody and see what kind of comments we got going on over here. Candida, we don't know. Sorry, I don't know why it always has me do that. Okay, so the connection here. However, excuse me. So let's see what else we have. Tana wants to know about using maca for hormones. That can be very helpful in helping people with menopausal symptoms. Does high estrogen have anything to do with thyroid pill? Carol, I'm not sure your question about high estrogen have to do with thyroid pill. If your estrogens are high, it can bind more of your thyroid hormone, and you might need to up your dose of thyroid. Jackie wants to know a cure for Candida. My Candida program, my team can post a link for that there. So Julia wants to know why she has both lupus and Hashimoto's. Once you have one autoimmune connection, once you have one autoimmune disease, you're 3 times more likely to get another autoimmune disease. So, Melissa wants to know if she can use Estroprotect in replace of tamoxifen. So I can't offer any specific medical advice. However, if you choose to be on tamoxifen, I would, I have my patients use Estroprotect in addition. So we'll get into what Estroprotect is and all of the ingredients and how it can help any of you all with high estrogens or with estrogen dominance, or if you're concerned about cancer, or you've already had a hormonal cancer to help in possibly preventing that from coming back. So again, let's just go over quickly how we're exposed to these estrogens and xenoestrogens, which are the fake lookalikes. So in our food, you know, our animals are given hormones, so they grow bigger, faster, and increases their milk production and their meat production. So if you're eating conventional meats and animal products, you're going to have more hormones. Now we have, if you're doing grass-fed, pasture-raised, those are not given additional hormones. Now they do eat grass, and unfortunately we don't live in a perfect world, and you know, our world is polluted, and the grass has, you know, herbicides, fungicides, and pesticides that have fallen down on it, either by being sprayed inadvertently, coming over through the air, or coming down through the rain. So, you know, even eating a real whole foods diet with organic and pasture raised, grass fed, all that stuff does not mean you're exempt from this. In fact, there's nowhere that is perfect anymore. I mean, not even the rainforest of South America. I mean, we unfortunately, and again, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but we just live in a toxic world. And, you know, so you definitely want to be eating, if you can get it and afford it, organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised, because you're at least eliminating those extra hormones going in. But know that there are hormone disruptors and pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and again, they're getting sprayed even if it's not on the field the cow is eating. The field next door, the wind brings it over, it gets in the soil, it goes in the runoff, you know, it goes up into the sky, it comes down in the rain. So nowhere is 100% safe here. Our water, again, is very polluted. I definitely recommend that you get a water filter, both for your tap and your shower, and not drink water out of plastic bottles. Buy a glass or a stainless steel bottle and take it with you everywhere you go, and fill it up and refill it up, because, you know, there are BPAs, even in BPA-free stuff. We now know that the BPA-free stuff has other toxins that look like estrogens and xenoestrogens and can disrupt your endocrine system. So definitely there's, you know, glass is inert, so you should be fine there. I, in fact, have a glass of water here. I personally love drinking out of mason jars. These are my glasses. Ooh, I forgot I put some sparkling water in there. It's all flat now. So that was a little, I was like, oh, what's in here? Okay, so our water is polluted, again, because we're dumping hormones and medications down. I mean, something like the amount of Prozac in our water or antidepressants in our water is unbelievable. We're all getting them. Antibiotics in our water, hormones in our water, birth control pills in our water, thyroid hormone in our water, because people dump them down the toilet, they dump them down the sink, so it's in our water system. We have mercury being emitted from coal burning plants, settles in the water. We have runoff from industrial you know, companies getting into the water. So you definitely want to make sure you're using a water filter. Beauty products, this is probably the biggest one, and I really want to commend the people, Greg is her name, who started Beauty Counter, excuse me, because it's like Avon. It is a multi-level marketing system. If anybody wants to become a rep, you're welcome to sign up under me, or just sign up in general. Or if you want to purchase something, do know that I get a commission from that. But I commend her that she really has taken on the beauty industry and is really making a difference and making a statement and going up against the government about all of the things that we put in our beauty products. It's a very unregulated industry. It's a self-regulated industry, the beauty product industry. And when I say beauty products, men, don't tune out if you're on here listening, because this is your shampoo, this is your shave lotion, this is your shaving cream, this is your deodorant, this is even just your toothpaste. This stuff has phthalates, parabens, phenyl, ethanol, all these things mimic estrogen, along with a whole host of other ingredients. And she has taken on the, you know, the, what I want to say, she has taken on the industry and banned literally thousands of chemicals that are banned in other countries but are not being banned here in the United States. And the thought behind it in the beauty industry is, oh, it's a tiny amount, and this tiny amount in my one eyeliner is not going to matter. But nobody uses one eyeliner. You know, through a study through the EWG, the Environmental Working Group, The average person uses 10 to 15 products a day, and those 10 to 15 products, and that's the average person, includes 126 different ingredients and chemicals. So this is not a small problem. It all adds up because it's not just in the mascara. It's in the toothpaste, in the shampoo, in the soap, in the deodorant. It's in all this stuff. And so all these little things add up over time. And then most people aren't just applying them once, right? They go to work, then you got an event after work, you reapply things, you went to the gym, you take a shower, you do all this stuff over again. So this is like happening, multiple times a day for some people. So you really, really need to be concerned, particularly us women who are using more beauty and body products than the average man, but men are not exempt from this. So it's very, very important. And don't forget to tag 2 friends. Don't forget, you got to tag 2 friends. And by tagging 2 friends, will automatically enter you to win this Smoky Eye Trio that includes a mascara, an eyeshadow, and an eyeliner. And I have them on now as I'm smiling. I have those on now. And you probably could do a better job than me. I have no idea how to put on eyeshadow because I never wear it, but I did want to put it on for today. So the deadline to enter to win is tomorrow, January 7th, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll announce the winner on Facebook and to that person via a private message through Facebook at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, other ways that estrogens can get out of control is if you have gut dysbiosis, things like Candida, things like SIBO. So there are enzymes in our gut that help us metabolize and get the estrogens out. And when we have a bunch of junk going on in there and our enzymes aren't working properly, the enzymes can actually shut off and it causes our body to recirculate and reabsorb those estrogens. So having a healthy gut, I always say the gut is the gateway to health. So having a healthy gut is super duper important when we're talking about, getting the estrogens out and detoxification. We all probably know about plastics, BPA. The main thing to know here is when you see something BPA free, it's not really necessarily any better, we're finding out. Those things can have all kinds of problems as well. So do your best just not to use plastics. I know nobody lives in a perfect world. I travel all the time. Now, I do take glass with me. I do take my glass bottle with me. My baby has used, Elle has used glass baby bottles from the beginning. She has a glass sippy cup now. In fact, she mostly drinks out of my own cup rather than her own sippy cup. We use regular plates for her, or I have I have a plate made out of bamboo that we use for her. She uses stainless steel cutting. We're not using plastics with her. So you can get away with not using plastics. Now, when you travel, it can be a little harder to find if you got to get prepackaged food, but also it can be heavier. So you just got to account for that. It's kind of a bummer, but that's what happens. So be sure never to heat up your plastic. If you are using it in the microwave, don't dishwash it. The heat releases it. Those plastic bottles, if you do have to get one of water, leaving it sitting in your car on a hot day here in Austin, not a good thing. The heat causes all those toxins to be released. And then when it comes to fats, like a coconut oil or an olive oil, I know it can be cheaper at Costco and the things come in a big plastic tin, but again, the fat pulls out these plastics. So to the best of your ability, buy these fats in glass containers if you can. Okay, now heavy metals like cadmium, lead, mercury, they also can mimic estrogen. So, be sure to do your best to limit your exposure. Where do we get most of our mercury? We breathe it in, we eat it through, fish, contaminated fish, and then we get it in our showers. So I always talk about, water filters, air filters, and not eating farm-raised or Atlantic salmon. Okay, body fat, the heavier you are, the more estrogen you're going to store. High estrogens, more fat cells. It's a vicious cycle with more estrogen. So it's very difficult. Of course, if you're on hormone replacement therapy, particularly, traditional hormone replacement therapy, the birth control pill, even a, patch or a IUD that has hormones associated with it, these are not real estrogens and progesterones. These are fake ones that have been, made in a lab. And so your body, frankly, doesn't really know what to do with those because they're not natural to your body. And then last but not least, the hardest one for us all, chronic stress. So chronic stress pulls your estrogen and uses pulls progesterone and causes your progesterone to get converted to cortisol. High cortisol creates high estrogen, which then is tipping the balance double. So when you use all your progesterone, then you have higher estrogen because in relation to your progesterone. And then as you have more cortisol, that causes more estrogen. So you're really, offset. You can't see my hands, just pulling. If you have estrogen, progesterone and estrogen, and you use your progesterone and create cortisol, then you're gonna, have more estrogen. And then as you have more cortisol, it's going to cause more estrogen. So you're going to, be even more tipped like that. So let me go over and just check in again with everybody and see what's going on. Let's see. So, hi Digna, how are you? So Rebecca's asking, what do you need to test for with hypothyroidism and MS? I would highly recommend that you pick up a copy of my book, The Thyroid Connection. I wrote it very specifically, tell you exactly how to work with your doctor. Melissa's asking, is Estro Protect for somebody who had their ovaries removed? Again, I can't speak to you personally, but when I hear someone had their ovaries removed, I wonder why they have their ovaries removed. Did they have endometriosis? Did they have cancer? Did they have chronic ovarian cyst? Did they have PCOS? All of those are estrogen dominant states. So even though they removed your ovaries, somewhere you probably don't metabolize estrogen very well. So you could benefit from that. I mean, when you have inflammation going on in your body, like an autoimmune condition, like how I had my Graves' disease, and their solution to my Graves' disease was to blow up my thyroid. I have now because I've worked my program, but it didn't solve the problem. So if you have an inflammatory condition or you have an autoimmune condition and they remove some part of your body or an organ, it never got to the root. It just moved, removed where the problem was. So if you don't ever get to the problem, like you have poor detox pathways, you're eating gluten, you have gut infections, if you don't ever get to the bottom of those, then that problem is just going to manifest in some other kind of way, likely down the line. So as a hypothetical, you had endometriosis. Melissa, I don't know your health history, but you had endometriosis I'm using as an example that created a problem with the ovaries. You had the ovaries removed. That was an inflammatory process. So now you're not having endometriosis, but let's say that you, the reason you had endometriosis is because you had gut dysbiosis and gluten, and you continue to eat gluten and you continue to have gut dysbiosis. Well, maybe the endometriosis is gone because you had it removed, but that that fire is still going. And so unless you deal with the fire at hand, you're going to then end up likely with another problem, inflammatory problem. Okay, that was not specific to you. That was just in general. Okay, so let's talk about some solution, guys, because, forget all this scary stuff that I just mentioned. We want solutions. I'm here to empower you to take back your health. The way to do that is offer you solutions. So the first solution is my two-step approach. First is prevention. Second is detoxification. So let's walk through this. Prevention. The first thing to do is to stop this crap from coming into your system in the first place. Again, we live in a toxic world. We don't live in a bubble. I'm being bombarded by it just like you are, but I'm trying to minimize how much I'm being bombarded. Unless you want to live in a bubble or in a glass house, that's sterile and you never go outside, you're going to be exposed. So it's really just doing the best you can to minimize the exposure. So the first step is to buy clean food. So buy grass-fed, buy pasture-raised. I told you it's not perfect. The grass still has stuff on it, but it's the best that we can all do. I don't think there's anywhere safe on the world. Where do I get my meat? Butcher box. Get it delivered straight to my house. Chicken, beef. In fact, we've got a a whole chicken being roasted in the oven right now. My house smells amazing. I can't wait to eat that for dinner. So Butcher Box is our go-to for that. Salmon, wild caught seafood, Vital Choice is my go-to for that. Both of these can be delivered straight to your house. If those don't work for you, you don't want them, they virtually can be delivered anywhere, at least in the United States. I don't know outside the United States, but even Costco, Target, and of course Whole Foods have amazing choices these days. So, you know, when we're in a bind, Whole Foods, Costco, even Target has grass-fed, grass-pastured meat. I don't know about Walmart. I personally, you know, boycott Walmart. That's a whole different story based on how they treat their employees. But if that's what is available to you, by all means. So find where you can get that. And if you can't do all organic, the place to start is with your meats, because they're higher up on the food chain. So they're eating all the things lower. And so everything that they eat, you're ultimately eating. So if you can't get organic strawberries, but you can get organic meat, or there's a, you know, $2 difference here and a $2 difference there, and all you got is $2, go for the meat. That's where you want to spend your money. Okay. And then of course, go to EWG and look at the Clean 13 and the Dirty Dozen, and, you know, prioritize your fruits and vegetables from there. Water filters is my second step in prevention. Taps, shower heads. People forget about the shower. You can get a whole house filter if you can afford that, and you got one and you got a house and it's set up to have one of those. Go for it. That's the easiest way to do it. Most people can't do that. We're in an apartment, so I have them on my shower heads and on my tap. And we cook with it, we bathe with it. I get one with the shower with the wand, and I bring the wand down and fill up the tub for her, so she bathes in filtered water. I use Aquasana. My team usually does one big you know, sheet with all the places that I'm recommending. If you want, you can go there. Then of course, non-toxic beauty products. So Beauty Counter, I already mentioned, I do get a affiliate fee if you get something from them, so you don't have to do that if you want. Beauty Counter is what I use, what I'm wearing, and they have banned a lot of substances that are not banned in other places. And again, we have the Smoky Eye Trio giveaway for one lucky winner. When you tag 2 people in the comments, enter to win. It's a $78 value, eyeliner, mascara, and eyeshadow, and we'll announce the winner tomorrow on Facebook at 5 p.m. And you are able to enter to win until 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on the 7th. Ditch the plastic, folks. Switch to glass, stainless steel. It is possible. It's heavier, but it's possible. Okay. And I literally use mason jars as our glasses, nothing fancy. So, and again, I've talked about it already. She's used glass her whole life. So, minimize your mercury exposure. If you have amalgams, I recommend my patients get them removed. Be super smart about vaccines. If you're someone who's getting vaccinations and that's something that you choose to do, I believe it's a personal choice. There's, you know, you just got to figure that one out for yourself, what's the right choice for you and your family. It is not a black or white conversation as far as I'm concerned. It's an extremely gray conversation. Unfortunately, I can't have that conversation here. So please don't ask me a bunch of questions. It's too heated of a topic, and there are too many people out there, you know, just ready to jump on the topic. So, however, there are certain vaccinations like the flu vaccine, should you choose to get that, you can get them that don't have mercury in them. Of course, when it comes to seafood, fish, things like that, my go-to is of course Vital Choice. So if you're going to be on hormones, I do highly recommend, if you can, work with a functional medicine practitioner, get some testing. Remember, it's not about your total estrogens. It's really about your estrogen metabolites. You really want to know what you're doing with those metabolites. I'd highly recommend a 23andMe. It will tell you about your COMT status. So COMT is one of those SNPs, and it's a pathway that we use, or that SNP is utilized in a pathway to detox our estrogens. The other thing that it helps to detox is our epinephrine, our norepinephrine, and our adrenaline. So people who have COMT, and my staff can attest to this, are typically people who are super on it. Sometimes they can tend to be people with OCD, but they're very attention to detail, and they're very like perfectionist kind of people. So we tend to also have high adrenaline and high drive, which everybody on my team can attest that I got. And then it means that we don't clear that very well, which is why I don't tolerate caffeine at all. You don't want to see me on caffeine. Even decaf gets me amped up, and I'm already an amped up, passionate person. And then we don't tend to clear our hormones well, particularly our estrogens. And those two, the epinephrine, norepinephrine, and adrenaline, compete for estrogen. And so it's like a double whammy for people like us. So you really need to make sure that those pathways are working, you're decreasing your stress, and that you're taking Estroprotect, which we'll talk about in a second. And of course, relieving your stress. Now, the second step to my two-step process, we have prevention, and then we have detoxification. And that's where Estroprotect comes in. So there are a number of things that we know that can help us metabolize estrogens and estrogen metabolites better. So some of the things are estrogens are metabolized in our liver. So you want to make sure your liver is working well. What are some things that help you clear things out of your liver? Well, that's going to be things like NAC, glutathione, milk thistle, alpha lipoic acid. You've heard me talk about these things. So those all help your liver detoxify. So what does Estroprotect have in it? It has alpha lipoic acid. It has NAC. It has milk thistle. Now remember when I told you the 2 metabolite was good and the 16 metabolite was bad. Well, you can sway that 2 to or 16 to 2 ratio. You can get your body to make more 2 and less 16, or to convert the 16 over to the 2. How do you do that? Remember, they say eat your cruciferous vegetables, eat your broccoli. It helps you prevent cancer. Well, they realized that DIM, sometimes it's called IC3 because it gets broken from DIM into IC3, that DIM is the part of the cruciferous vegetable that seems to be cancer protective and helps one sway from the 16 to the 2. So you can take DIM all by itself. That's fine. And we used to carry DIM all by itself when I had my clinic and I was working individually with people, and we would add in all these other supplements. As I'm working more broadly with more people that I've never met, I decided to formulate a product that included all the things you need. Sort of like when I made my multivitamin for people with thyroid dysfunction, so it was all in one place. That's kind of what we got here with the Estroprotect. So it has DIM in it as well to help you sway from that 16 to the good beneficial 2. Remember, it's not about your total estrogens. It's about your metabolites and what kind of metabolites you have. 16 bad, 2 good. DIM helps you get from 16 over to 2. Then you've heard me talking about COMT and methylation. So what helps us with methylation? That 5-methotetrahydrofolate, or not folic acid because that's synthetic, but folate. So it contains some folate as well to help us with our methylation pathways. Then remember in the conversation, I talked about those bugs in your gut. And when you have things like SIBO or Candida, it helps you recirculate the estrogens so you reabsorb them, and it shuts off an enzyme. Well, what can get those bugs to stop shutting off that enzyme? Calcium D-glucarate. When you take calcium D-glucarate, it stops those bugs from stopping the enzyme, and it turns it back on. So this product has calcium D-glucarate as well. And then what did we talk about? Estrogen in this high state can be very inflammatory. So what are some things that help with inflammation? Turmeric, quercetin. We have those in this product as well. So this is kind of your one-stop shop for helping clear your estrogens. Now, there's never take a pill and your problems are all solved. I don't believe that. I don't believe that you can live a bad lifestyle and take a bunch of supplements and all will be fine. You have got to change your lifestyle. So that's the first step, folks. Don't think that this Estroprotect is going to just solve your problems and you can keep using regular makeup and you can keep eating out of plastic and not filtering your water and being super stressed out. No, I mean, it's going to help, you're treading water and this is going to help. But is this going to solve your problem if you don't change your lifestyle? No. So the first step, and anybody who knows me knows I believe in lifestyle changes. It's called the Myers way because it's a way of life. There's no quick fix here. So otherwise it's just a Band-Aid. It's a more natural Band-Aid. I want you to fix the problem. I want you to follow the steps of the prevention. Prevent this stuff from coming in. Then, you know, helpful to know your genetic status. Helpful to know, you know, do a 23andMe. Go get the testing to find out, or do you break it down into the 2 or the 16 or the 4? Get that information. Know what you're doing. And then add in this product if it's something that, you know, is fitting for you. You know, and who is this good for? This is good for anybody with estrogen dominance, anybody who has a history, family history of breast, uterine, prostate, ovarian cancer, and is, you know, concerned about that. Anybody who's done testing, has problems at COMT, MTHFR, problems metabolizing estrogens. Anybody who's done testing and knows that they break down more into the 16 versus the 2 or the 4 instead of the 2. Anybody, frankly, who's on birth control, on any type of hormones, because you want to clear that out, and that for whatever reason can't change their lifestyle and has to, you know, continually, maybe you're a dental hygienist or a dentist and you're working in a conventional practice and you're surrounded by mercury. This would be a good thing for you. Maybe you're, can't always get organic meats or whatever because you're traveling and have to eat out a lot. So these would be good things. And, a number of questions that we've gotten, I'm going to open it up to your, questions, but probably the biggest one that we've gotten is, does it impact birth control? And this is not going to, well, first of all, everything's an individual basis, right? So what something does to one person may not do to another, but in general, it's not something that you need to, like, you know, how you hear, oh, I'm taking antibiotics, have a backup method of birth control. That's typically not it. However, you're somebody already clearing out estrogens very well, it could speed that up, and you might notice that you're having your period a little bit earlier or something like that. So you certainly want to be cognizant that that is something. And, if you're somebody in general, like on a chemotherapy or something like that, it does have detox properties in it. The NAC, the milk thistle, and the alpha lipoic acid, and that helps your liver, detoxify things. So it could detox out chemotherapy potentially. So I really want you to work with your doctor in that scenario before you went on this. Other people have asked how long it takes to work. Well, it starts working immediately, right? I mean, that's, it's helping open up those detox pathways. It's helping to clear the estrogens immediately. Now, I think probably the question you want to know is, when will you feel a difference? And that's different for everybody and everybody's scenario of, are you just somebody who has estrogen dominance, but you're not doing any external, you already have this very clean lifestyle, you've been following the Myers way, and this is the final piece. You should, notice something rather quickly. Some people never notice things. It's just working in the background, right? Other people notice things very quickly. Or if you're somebody who's new to this and you just got tagged and you're watching this and you have a very, a lifestyle that's not very Myers way compliant yet, and you've got a lot of changes to be made, this is going to start working immediately, but you might not notice something for a little while because you've got a lot of changes going on. So, so give me 1 second here. 1 second. Okay. All right. So, okay. So Diane would like to know, how do high estrogens affect your TSH? So high estrogens, like I said earlier in the talk, is that the high estrogens bind something called thyroid binding globulin. And so when your estrogens are high and it causes more thyroid globulin binding protein to come out, that thyroid globulin binding protein binds your thyroid hormone. Now, when we're talking about hormones in general, whether it's estrogens or thyroid hormone, it's our free estrogens that we want to know about. The total estrogens, most hormones in our body are bound to proteins. And when they're bound to a protein, they're not active in our body. We need free hormones to go into receptors. So the more your thyroid hormone is bound to these proteins, the less there is to go into the receptor. It also prevents it converting into free T3 and converts more into reverse T3. And then, of course, that can, hopefully know that TSH is sort of the opposite of what you think. The higher your TSH, the lower your thyroid hormone. The lower your TSH, the better your thyroid hormone. That's an indicator of what your pituitary is doing. And I explain all of this in my book, The Thyroid Connection. So Misty, have you noticed that men with autoimmunity have high levels of measurable xenoestrogens? So Misty, there is some new testing coming out looking at the levels of xenoestrogens and other toxins in fat cells. I haven't used that testing too much in my clinic because there's a huge debate about then what does that mean? How does somebody get it out of their system? So I'm not sure if that's the question you meant to ask, or maybe more you meant to ask, do I see more of the bad metabolites of estrogen in men with autoimmunity? So, but I haven't been measuring xenoestrogens, which are the fake estrogens, in too many people in my clinic because the testing is so new. It's rather controversial as to how valid is it, and then what do you do about it? Not so much with the xenoestrogens, but with some of the other toxins that are stored in fat. In saunas, infrared saunas, you can see my infrared sauna sunlighting right behind me. Really, really great to help detoxify many of the toxins that are stored in your fat. So then in terms of my question that maybe you meant to ask, which is about the bad estrogen metabolites in people or men with autoimmunity, I don't necessarily see, it's kind of difficult to answer because I see a lot of people in my clinic who are not metabolizing their estrogens very well at all. In fact, most people in my clinic have that high 04. Some definitely have the high 16, and that's super easy to get over to the 2. Just the DIM, the EstroProtect. Those of you who are working with a functional medicine practitioner, you can get a pre-test. You can start taking the EstroProtect. You can get another test, and likely you will see that sway. The 4OH can be harder to sway, and I do see that elevated in a lot of people with autoimmunity, but I think it's more that people with autoimmunity in general have poor detoxification, have poor detoxification, and have poor methylation, which is what gets them into the box of having autoimmunity. So that is more what I typically see. We got a question about taking it while breastfeeding. So again, it's really because of the detox properties. It's why I tell most people who are breastfeeding or pregnant not to take glutathione. And it's not that glutathione would be bad to your baby. It's that glutathione works, and the toxins that it's going to pull out are going to go into in utero and go into your breast milk, and that's bad for your baby. So this is when you're breastfeeding or you're pregnant, there's not something, well, pregnant, I probably wouldn't take this supplement because it could potentially lower your estrogens. But breastfeeding, I don't think there's anything in it that you couldn't take it that it would hurt you, quote unquote, while breastfeeding. But because it works by pulling out other toxins in addition to estrogens, you wouldn't want to, that's not the time to start some sort of detox program or supplement that helps you with detoxification, because it's going to go into your breast milk and go to your baby. And certainly that's not what you want to happen, is a bunch of icky metabolites of estrogen and xenoestrogens and plastics and all that stuff to be going into your baby. So I would wait till you're done breastfeeding, and then I would go ahead and start this. And certainly anybody who's planning to get pregnant and wants to prepare their body for pregnancy, this is something that you could do potentially to, get those things out of your body. So Roseanne wants to know, does she really need to worry about estrogens if she doesn't have a uterus? so she said she's always cold until she has a hot flash. So again, I don't know why you had your uterus removed and what age you are, but certainly younger women, you know, under 50 who've had hysterectomies or things like that, you've usually had it because of a problem, endometriosis, fibroids. Those are high estrogen states. So then if you get your body part removed or the organ removed, you still got that inflammation going on somewhere. So that can certainly help. And it sounds like if you're having hot flashes that you're, you know, again, this really depends on how old you are. Sometimes you're having hot flashes just because you got your uterus removed and you don't have any estrogen, or it could be because you're going through menopause and you're going through low estrogen to high estrogen to low estrogen to high estrogen. Remember, if you didn't listen to the earlier part of this program, that it's not really about your total estrogens. You could be a woman in menopause with super low estrogens, but metabolizing it all into bad estrogens. Of course, you could be one that metabolizes it all into good estrogens, and that's a great place to be. Or you could be a woman who has very high estrogens, but what you are when you metabolize it all into the good estrogens. So it's not about your total estrogens, it's how you metabolize them. So I think there's just a lot of questions about individual scenarios. If I had this removed, if I had that removed, if you had, you know, a mastectomy, oophorectomy, hysterectomy, you can still, again, I can't offer personal advice, but I have my patients who have been in those scenarios still take Estro Protect. I mean, if you had your uterus removed, but you still have breasts, you got a body part that is sensitive to estrogens. If you had a mastectomy, but you still have a uterus, you still have a body part that is susceptible to estrogens. So in that case, yeah, this can be helpful to prevent whatever got you in that boat to have that body part removed, potentially, you know, preventing that other part from having to be removed for that same inflammation. Karen wants to know, can you hurt yourself by taking Estro Protect if you don't need it? So that is a great question. So in general, likely not. I mean, this is a good formulation that has just a lot of good general detoxification that's for your liver, and it helps detoxify all kinds of other things besides estrogen. There is a very, very small subset of people who actually metabolize estrogens very well, and they break it way more down into the 2 than they do the 16. And very, very low levels of 16 has been implicated in more osteopenia and porosis. And those people are better off being on some sort of, you know, bioidentical hormone replacement because estrogen is protective for them. I see that, I do see it in my clinic, but I see it as a very small subset of people. Now, I don't think the Estro Protect is really going to affect you in that, but you would want to know that information to see if you need to go on some sort of hormone replacement to protect your bones. So that would be the only scenario short of somebody, again, who is pregnant or breastfeeding or on chemotherapy, where you don't want to either be detoxing out the chemotherapy or you don't want to be detoxing out and into your child. Those would be the scenarios. And then somebody's asking the instructions, 2 capsules per day. Typically, I try to take mine 1 in the morning and 1 at night, like first thing in the morning and right before bed. If I forget, I do just take them either 2 in the morning or 2 at night, depending on, you know, what time of day I forgot. So Cindy would like to know, can one use the multivitamin and Estro Protect together? Yes, you can. Marsha would like to know if Beauty Counter makeup is lead-free. It is. Now, it's not all 100% gluten-free, so you definitely need to, and I think my team Tori was going to let me know if they had any, you know, symbols or anything on each of the different makeups about gluten-free. Most of it all is gluten-free, but there are a few things that are not. Okay, so Raykim wants to know if there are ways to increase progesterone naturally. So there are things like, well, one, figuring out why your progesterone's low. Stress is one of the biggest ones that I see. So dealing with stress. I love acupuncture. That can be really great for balancing hormones. You can take chasteberry or maca, or things that can naturally enhance or improve your progesterone. The hormonal AM, the hormonal balance AM, has some properties in it that can help you boost your progesterone as well. And you know, following the prevention and detoxification steps, because you might just be converting more of it into estrogen. Glenda would like to know, can you take bioidentical hormones with Estroprotect? So I'm not offering anybody individual medical advice. In general, I can tell you what I do with my patients, and that's absolutely yes. Nelly would like to know, are my products available to buy in Europe? We don't sell them in Europe, but we ship worldwide. Nalanda would like to know, could she replace the liver support with this supplement? So yes, the liver support has alpha lipoic acid and milk thistle at slightly higher concentrations than in this. So this product has a lot more than that. But if you're somebody taking liver support, you could, and you were interested in taking this, I think you could drop the liver support and just take this. This is a little bit more one-stop shopping. So Albert, this is a great question. Albert, will I3C, which is, DIM essentially, cause Cytomel, or we'll also say any thyroid hormone, to be more effective if you're dominant? So yes, in theory, if you're estrogen dominant and you have high estrogens and you're binding more of your thyroid hormone, as you begin to clear some of those and get your body naturally in balance, it is possible that you could reduce the amount of thyroid hormone that you need to be on. I know for me, as I'm going through perimenopause and my hormones have plummeted, I've actually lowered my supplemental thyroid hormone dose. So naturally that could happen to you as a female, as your estrogens are dropping and you're not binding as much, but certainly also as your, maybe it's from my using the Estroprotect too. I hadn't thought about that, but yes, it could be from the Estroprotect as well. So guys, don't forget, well, actually you might not know, Estroprotect is on sale, 15% off now through midnight Thursday, Central Standard Time. You can go to amymd.io/estrogen. So to get that if you'd like. And don't forget, when you tag 2 friends, you're entered to win the Smoky Eye Trio that is right here from Beauty Counter. So, and if you're joining us late, please go back and listen. I've spent well over an hour now. I always go over. I spent an hour really talking about estrogen dominance, what it is, how you get it, but most importantly, how to get out of it. I have a 2-step approach, which is prevention. I walk you through ways to prevent and ways to detoxify. So the 2-step approach is prevention, and I walk you through those steps, and then detoxification, and I walk you through those steps. I also bust the myth that hormonal cancers are all about the levels of estrogen. It is not all that simple. It is far more gray and complicated than that. And part of the picture is about your estrogen metabolites. Whether you're talking about a man or you're talking about a woman, ultimately all of our hormones break down into estrogen, and then estrogen gets metabolized into what we call estrogen metabolites. And it is really your level of those estrogen metabolites, one of them being good, 2 of them being bad, and how you're metabolizing it. So if you're joining us at the end here, please go back to the beginning to listen. And this will be up on Facebook for the rest of eternity. So go back and listen, because this was kind of complicated stuff. I didn't have any graphs or diagrams. I was just talking, and probably talking really quickly, because I love to talk and I love to be passionate and I love to help empower you guys. So go back and listen. It was a lot of information. I covered it really quickly, and it might be really new information, or it might be information that's really contradictory to what your other doctors have been telling you. So don't be afraid. Go back and listen again. This was a lot of stuff. As always, my supplements are free of all the top allergens, gluten, dairy, soy, corn, and I have a 30-day money-back guarantee on all of my supplements, okay? So you can try it risk-free. It's free of preservatives, dyes, GMO, and artificial sweeteners. 30-day money-back guarantee. I ship worldwide. So, you know, give Estrogen Protect a try. Let me see if there's any parting words from anybody. Great to have you guys here. Don't forget, I'll be here every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Next week, I'm going to be talking with the lovely Robin, who is the green smoothie girl, and we're going to be talking about EMFs. So that's going to be super duper fun. Robin Openshaw next Tuesday at 3 p.m. We're going to be talking about health impacts of EMFs. That's something I really haven't talked about a lot. I mean, I talk about it a little bit in both books, but I haven't talked about it on a Facebook Live or in great detail. So I'm super excited about that. So join us. You can always know when I'm going live. There's some button you can click on Facebook. I don't know what it is, but make sure that you're subscribed and that you're, you know, alerted to when I'm going live. Also, we post it on all social media and it's in our newsletter. And then every week we have a recipe, we have a new article that goes out, and we always have promotions on supplements. So if you're somebody looking to save a couple dollars, looking for the deal, looking for the bargain, make sure that you are on my newsletter list. So let me see if there's any. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Susie says it's very helpful. Tana says thanks for the great info. Marcia says thanks very much. Kathy, thanks. Y'all are so welcome. Please don't forget to tag 2 people and share this with the men in your lives. They are not immune to this, though I might have been seemingly talking more about women. All estrogens, even all testosterone goes through this estrogen pathway. If you know a man in your life, you're concerned about prostate cancer, pass this on to them as well. Tag them, in fact. This can be really, really helpful to them. Albert, tremendous lecture. You're so welcome. Thank you so much. All right, everybody, I will see you guys next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a great afternoon, and thanks so much for being here. I always appreciate it, and I really want to appreciate you for taking back your health. Y'all take care. Bye.